Alright, one and all, welcome back to the competitive Age of Empires for action. We are here at the Elite Classic 2 recap. Weekend number 1 of the main event just happened, but so many series were not cast. It is criminal. There were 25 series a day. And only 5 of them were cast, maybe 6 on the main channel. So we are here to fix that problem. We start off with MarineLord versus Numudan. Kicking off on Coastal Cliffs here is going to be a Malian opener for Numudan going up against MarineLord's Ayyubids. And, you know, I was looking at the draft. This is very interesting from a drafting perspective. I think Numudan got drafted into a corner based on map number 1. Coastal Cliffs is really good for picks like the Ayyubids, the Delhi. I rate higher than that things like English, but English wasn't picked at all due to the Malian pick. But the way that Numudan drafted kind of left him a little bit disarmed. He got Rus, Malians, Japanese, and Jeanne D'Arc. The only other civ you could have went with outside of Malians here would have been Jeanne D'Arc because you need to save Japanese for Mongolian Heights and you need Rus for the Dry Arabia. The only other reason you might go Japanese here is if you thought that MarineLord was going to open this series playing as the Delhi. But the reality is when you draft Mongols, Ayyubids, Delhi, and Byzantines, and you've got Dry Arabia in the rotation, it makes no sense whatsoever to whip out the Delhi on this map. I also think Delhi are not an S tier civ on this map. I put them like a strong B tier, maybe edging towards A tier. 2 sacred sites means a quick ramp up into control, and then you mid-map flow it. But you know, in a matchup against Japanese, way too risky, right? If your opponent has that in the pool, you're giving him an edge. You could argue that forcing Numudan to use Japanese on this map as opposed to Mongolian Heights would be an advantage, but you don't really need to worry about that considering that MarineLord, he does still have the Mongols for Mongolian Heights if it comes out. A very strong civ actually on that map with a lot of potential. So yeah, like thinking that draft overall, I'd give a win to MarineLord there. I think he drafted a little bit better for what was ahead of them in terms of map choices. If you were just looking at this on paper in terms of, oh, civs without map recollection, you'd think it was more 50-50. But let's talk about this map a bit more. Coastal Cliffs is a very interesting beast right now. Basically, think Dry Arabian Slim Fast, and it's kind of anti-TC Boomer because the stone spawns so far out. Looks like someone did get a fortunate spawn here, though. Numudan does get a gold split behind his base, behind the tree lines. That's not a bad starting position. Unfortunately, it's just the wrong matchup for it. You're playing against the Ayyubids, and this is not really a civ that's going to look to aggress you. This is a civ that's going to look to boom, right? They're going to race towards castle. They're going to look to beat you there, which they can very easily do. And then they're going to try to flood the map. The unfortunate reality of this matchup, I think, would make it quite Ayyubid favored, is when you both get to Castle Age. One side wants to spam sofas because it uses the food the best. The other wants to go for the camels. In fact, I'm going to open up A Forward right now to confirm this. I'm pretty sure this is like a 60% Ayyubid favored matchup at Conk Plus. So let's have a look. Malians versus the Ayyubids. Wow. Okay, 58.8%. I was right, just the wrong way around. Apparently, Malians are a little bit stronger here. If we check the previous patch, which has more data on it, of course, there, the Ayyubids are actually at 49%. All right. I'm going to be a dog and eat my food on that one. So apparently, Malians should be favored here. I just don't know if this is the map where I'd lean into that idea. I'm trying to think like the permutations that come out, right? Because you can go Ghulams and then obviously there's Musafadi to counter you out. Realistically, like I could see maybe a way in which Malians can get it. I don't know if I'd say it's like a 60% advantage. I think it's a lot closer. And also the other thing we do have to consider is, you know, as good as Numudan is, this is MarineLord, and I've watched a few of Numudan's games, and one thing that I think he has been struggling to overcome is this killer instinct moment, right? The understanding of when to go and when to end a game is something that I think he still needs to maybe figure out. Hopefully he can do it here. I'd love to see that against MarineLord, who's basically, in most people's eyes, expected to make the finals of these type of events, right? MLord. Opening-wise, let's see what it's going to be. It's going to be the Desert Raiders coming out and an immediate drop of the stable. Okay, I like this. So he's going to look to aggro his opponent and try to deny the extra gold. The timing on this is going to be quite nice for the Desert Raider. The reason why you go Desert Raider is it forces your opponent off their Castle Age timing and gives you an edge. Any time there's like an opportunity to force people away from greed, this is the option to go for. And what is up, Nomad? Appreciate the resub, bud. Welcome back to the channel. So yeah, the reason why you go Desert Raider is any time that you are up against a civ that naturally won't want to just instinctively attack you. And I think that's one of these, is because when you're up against the Malians, they don't want to build an archery range unless they have to, right? Like if you want to make this a Castle Age race, they'll drop double mill and they'll pump. But by going Desert Raider, Numudan doesn't have a choice in the matter. He has to go into the javelins. Upside, those jabs are going to hit incredibly hard against Desert Raiders. Downside, Desert Raiders already here being a pain in the ass on the wood line. I actually like this choice coming in as well. The Horseman follow-up is pretty smart. We're getting the discount Abbasid build. Oh, I love this. This is so well played right now because if you look on the map, Numudan, where's his scout? His scout is faffing around over here, and that's info MarineLord has. So this choice to now double down on archers and horsemen as a follow-up is completely unseen. Dude, that's actually really cool. This has been rising in popularity, actually. A few of the top players have been whipping out this build occasionally. The whole logic is that it plays off the script that people come to expect for the Ayyubids. So if you enter a game and you act as if an Ayyubid player is going to go fast castle, typically you're having to optimize for that yourself, right? By doing that, the reason why this works, even though it's worse than a Abbasid player doing this type of build, is that it's not expected, right? You know, like, you know when once upon a time English got away with 4 TC because you just didn't realize they were going to do it? You thought you were going to get longbow rushed? It's that type of feeling. So pit mine goes up just in time to go down. Love that read by MarineLord. If he'd attack this pit mine, it's close enough to the TC that you can't dive. This is way too far out. So getting in there before the wall goes up is now problematic for Numudan. And considering we've got archers on the way already, he's going to struggle to push out and reclaim this area. This is a really crafty beginning of the game out of MarineLord. Javs and a Donzo now on the way. I think if you take this fight, you're in trouble. Look at what's happening here. Yeah, he just scouts the edge of it. So smart play there. Numudan did bring the scout along, did back away. The archers were looming on the side. So MarineLord is going to back up. And Numudan is going to have to keep doubling down. Now, he's not adding in a single ranch. Well, he's got one, but he's not adding in the cattle yet. They're only now coming through, right? And that's because he's now seeing that extra pressure. He has to double down on Donzos in the interim. What an interesting game we've got. Like, I like when we actually see something other than fast castle. I think you will see this a few more times in the tournament. It's just really smart. Like, when you're up against a Civ that maybe can compete with your rush timing, I'm not going to say they necessarily always beat you, but they can definitely compete. It makes sense to just drag them into the dirt here. And he's doing so to an extent that right now, Numudan's not really booming up on the cattle at all. Meanwhile, behind this, look at what MarineLord's doing. He's playing out into the berries, he's getting that extra food gathering rate, and now he's going to start trending towards Castle Age. Hit mine getting burnt low. Archers aren't going to chase in. Nice block with the Warrior Scout there from Numudan. Just not sure it's going to be able to hold here. Nice breakthrough with the Horseman on top of the Javelins. Donzo's trying to stab them down, but you can see the start step by MarineLord will stick on top of his target. Remember, if these Desert Raiders go down, they were free. If these Horsemen go down to kill a Javelin, it's worthwhile. And he gets exactly what he needs out of this, as well as a bonus villager kill. Sick micro there by MarineLord. Got just the right number together to just dive past that. And now Numudan has to double down on forces, while MarineLord realistically doesn't have to add in much more. He can just get ready to go castle. And I don't think we need to see a advanced wing build here, actually. I think this is going to be growth. He did stop too short on the berry, so not optimal, but still better. And he could actually kind of fix this over here as he goes forward. I know that MarineLord is actually a big fan of growth wing. Usually when I see him play Ayyubids, I want to say most games, if it's not advancement, it is growth. Just a very powerful tool, right? Like, it injects so much extra eco into you. And the smart read here is his opponent right now has got 2 ranches. They're not even full. If you think about what a ranch gives you, a ranch full of cattle is basically 2 villages. So you're about to have the value of 4 of these ranches before your opponent has them. Really big edge. On top of that, obviously, you're going to be in Castle Age. Comes with all the other little perks alongside it. Relic split is always pretty nice on this map. I find it's, on average, very well balanced. But in this type of circumstance, Numudan now can't come out of his base, right? He's seen archers, he's seen horsemen. He can't risk coming out into open ground. So it means there's going to be a lot of relic forfeiture going on. Dude, this is pretty surgical from MarineLord. If you looked at his main account, it wouldn't look like he was practicing. I know he'd been doing a bunch of scrims, a bunch of practice games. I think especially Recon was one of his regular scrim partners. But I also think MarineLord may be responsible for a few of the smurfs we've been seeing on the ladders recently that are unidentified. They don't have a daddy yet. I think this might be the papa behind them. And I imagine from this stage, it's just going to be, what, a mixture of lances in, and you could probably drop double racks. Has got the blacksmith down. Undermesh is not on the way yet, but I imagine that'll quickly become a priority after the initial camel lancers. It might be that he just wants to stick camel lancers plus archer and play the mid-map. It's a pretty strong comp for this Civ, right? Like, you know, you have the ability to break the Donzos, and then that frees up a charge in for those lancers. It's a pretty easy 1-2 step. I'd say, like, of the Ayyubid games we see, about 60% of them, they're comp in Castle Age. If it's 2-unit based, at least, it always tends to be Archer or Archer plus Camel Lancer, rather. The other one that we see a bit of is, like, Gulam, and I want to say Crossbow is the one that usually mixes quite well. Spear seems to be, like, the least built unit for this Civ. Like this wrapping around, look at that gold. Unfortunately for him, Numudan has moved out north. Unfortunately for Numudan, MarineLord has arrived in the most popular age for the Ayyubids. And this is where we might just see a rush of a mosque. Yes, indeed we do. MarineLord knows he can get the eco right now. It's classic Numudan, it's classic Malians, right? They don't want to come out. They don't want to play the game. So what do? You use that against them. Take everything you can off the map while you can. Archer upgrade also on the way. We haven't got the level 2 Golden Age, right? No. If you have the level 2, it unlocks these researchers a bit quicker. I'd love to see him actually pump into Undermesh now with this House Moss going up, because that's going to crack level 2, which of course will accelerate the timings here. And yet, dude, MarineLord, he's on point with this. Straight away into the Undermesh, and he just gets it so much quicker this way. He's going back up, because it looks like Numudan is actually posturing, surprisingly enough. Oh, wow, he's going all in. It feels like it, right? He's trying to basically pad himself while he fills up the last of the ranches, because you can't just rush this Castle Age of the Malians. Like, if the ranches aren't complete, it's worthless trash. So he's trying to fix that issue. Still, it's giving a lot of breathing room, a lot of time. Basically means that MarineLord's going to have, you know, all the necessary upgrades to contest this, right? He's already got the Steel Dagger, he's got the Undermesh. Wouldn't be surprised if we see him adding in the level 2 range damage. Would make a lot of sense here. But obviously, you need to use that initial amount of gold to pump out the dervishes. They're not cheap at 120 gold each. Love the way he's still posturing this. It's like, Numudan, get the hell back in that cage. I didn't say you could come out, okay? Funnel Ranch is going to be added in on the back side, but he's got pretty much what he needs. So this is where the Fulani is going to get started. The reason you can do it this way is because if you pump the cattle now, you're just slowing down your tech timing, versus if you build the Fulani and then pump the cattle as you're building the Fulani, by the time it fills out, you should actually have your landmark complete. I hope that's what he's going to do. I mean, right now he's floating too much gold. There we go. It's on the way. Grand Fulani coming in. Meanwhile, Raid Crew is also coming in. So nice move by MarineLord with the north side. Remember, he can actually screw over Numudan here. We haven't seen this detail yet, but he can build a Manjanique with either the camels and the cav or the archers. And the funny thing is right now, if he actually had a Manjanique, if MarineLord had one on the backside here, there is no way Numudan would ever be able to fight him. Instead, MarineLord wants a straight up brawl. You can see he's prioritizing Sultan's Mamluks. This makes these archers incredibly fierce. Nice, he's skirting it back for the time being. Scat's leading the way. So Numudan does see everything, doesn't see MarineLord's reinforcements, so thinks it's a good opportunity to engage. Will this push him away, but won't be able to find much for it. And meanwhile, on the map, we're already seeing the relics now starting to be banked. Second wave is also coming in, and this game is kind of slipping away from Numudan. It's just not very apparent to him right now. His vision is quite lacking on the map. You can see he basically doesn't see out of his base. And although we haven't seen a big fight that's like, oh yeah, GG, that's it, what we're seeing is MarineLord hauling the eco up, right? Like, we talked about the ranch and how it supplements, but then you have to remember you've got berries on the other side, you've got Golden Age, you've got the extra villagers now putting up by 10, and then the relics as well. It's fair to say there is no world in which Numudan is ahead in this game right now. Even the food looks like it's struggling. House is being burnt down, pit mine's already gone. Numudan, he's actually trying to cut reinforcements, but MarineLord, he's already bypassed all this. He actually only came for the relics. He hasn't left any stragglers around. Instead, this Manjanique is now a big issue for Numudan. I mean, one Manjanique could actually just ruin him entirely here. This is what I was worried about. I thought it was going to come out a bit quicker, but because MarineLord, he wanted to prio getting into the golds via the relics. And on top of that, when he's got these 5 relics home, we're going to be seeing a 2 TC build to extend that economy lead. Flash now coming in. Manjanique's not quite here yet. Sultan's Mamluk buff is starting to come in as those Donzos get sniped, though. And that's problematic. It means you die even quicker to this. Jav's just trying to trade up, and now the Manjanique comes in. Sofa's wrapping around the backside of this, might be able to find it for free. But still, this is just wave number one, and I gotta say, Numudan, he's not really even surviving this. It looks like he'll just about get the Manjanique, but it comes at a high price. Jav count heavily diminished. Donzo's all gone. Enough archers remaining to just distract while the Lancer cleans this up. And behind this now, at what, a 12 eco lead, 5 relics. This game is looking at death's door for Numudan right now. And he can't really afford the loss, folks. I mean, Mongolian Heights feels like it could be almost a well, not guaranteed loss, but a high percentile loss considering you're going to be up against the Mongols. And unless you get some like RNG spawn where the Mongols have their production a mile away from the TC, the Japanese pick that I'm expecting out of Numudan will not be as fierce as you'd hope. I think Japanese is still being kind of under-repped. I think they're a little bit stronger than they appear. But you want to have that runway and that flexibility to accept that maybe the Mongols, considered to be one of the best civs still in competitive, is going to be unbeatable in their home map. And he's definitely looking to get to their own match point, isn't he? Military lead, eco lead. All the eco upgrades now coming in. That's something that is kind of lagging behind for Numudan in quite a few areas, right? Specialized pick not being prioritized is a problem, considering this man only has access to 2 pit mines and now has a grand total of 18 villagers gathering there. So he's got the Sofa upgrades coming in. The problem is, like, this is one of those weird kind of negate me, I negate you things. Like, imported armors with the +2 is nice, but then the Camel Lances reduce your damage by 20%, right? So it kind of balances out the fight in a weird way there. The only upside then is obviously the Sofas cost less, but when you have 5 relics and 2 sacred sites, I don't think you really care about splurging a bit of extra coin. Numudan. I don't want to say he needs a second TC, but if he's not going to get a second TC, he needs to attack soon because Jesus! I feel like we're seeing this a lot at the moment, actually. Like, Ayyubids are a late bloomer where their goal was to get Castle Age, get the relics, and then go back and basically play classic Abbassids. Free TC. No wonder MarineLord's his lead is getting built up so quickly here, right? The problem as well is I don't think Numudan even knows. Did he scout around? A Sofa might have glimpsed it. I'm not sure if he saw the whole picture, though. Yeah, the problem here right now is with farms coming in, MarineLord has found the perfect time to thread the needle. The reason why you're seeing MLord not go all in is, like, the one way he feels he could lose this game right now is if he overcommitted his army, lost it, and then didn't have food to replace it, right? Once these farms are up, that's where the meat grinder begins. And although Numudan has got a fierce power in the food department with this Fulani, I'd say it's much more limited than a full farm boon from the Ayyubids. So how does Numudan approach this? Sofa count is going up. I think you have to peel and raid. It's just kind of problematic when you're up against Desert Raiders and Camel Lancers, right? Like, it makes it much harder to chip away at eco, especially if your opponent gets textiles, which MLord most definitely has. We are actually seeing the Desert Raiders getting upgraded. I don't think you long-term want to play into them here, right? It's very bad up against Archer Javs, but it's just beneficial as this game goes on. Like, by the time you have like 4 of these guys, it's not a bad idea to pay out for that upgrade, considering the increase in stats. Springle's at least coming out from Numudan. I gotta give him credit, right? He's actually holding on. The issue still is in the eco count. Like, if he doesn't find a way in the next 2 minutes, MarineLord's going to be fully fledged into farms, and he'll probably be looking at Imperial Age. Phalanx is also on the way, so Spimmin about to be a very big problem. I actually like that MLord switching over to this. I feel like I watch a lot of Ayyubid players play Camel Lancers into their death. I really like Camel Lancers at the opening and midway through Castle Age. I see them very similarly to Gilded Knights. That's where their maximum impact is. Playing Camel Lancers, same with Gilded Knights, past that phase, feels like you're setting up to lose the game. In fact, we even saw a game from Louis MT on the weekend where I thought he'd be able to melt my mind and prove that Gilded Knights were great in Imperial Plus. They weren't. Right? They were kind of actually, if anything, griefing him a little. And I think it's the same with Camel Lancers. Villagers to keep the wall up. Army is pivoting over here. I mean, Numudan has done a good job of bogging this down, but we haven't seen him secure the sacred sites for himself. He's got no keep drop on the way. He is gathering on the stone, though. I think, is that the Mansa? No, he's actually actively going for it. So we are either going to see a keep drop into a siege, or now a TC boom of his own. I don't hate the idea of playing TC as your own, I guess for Numudan, like, the issue is how often do you watch Malian players content with the idea of going Imperial, right? Like, when you compare these two civs, it's fair to say the Ayyubids feel like they get the better end of the stick in the Imperial Plus. Especially if they go for something like Abbassids, right? Abbassids and then spamming in Gulums and spamming hand cannoneers doesn't feel like something that Malians can easily beat back. Especially considering that I very rarely ever see those players going Gunners. Always just feels difficult to get into that comp. In fact, this is a perfect moment for people to get their bets in, right? Like, MarineLord looks like the favorite, but I don't know, maybe there's some Malian hopium in us that can see a way. One's if you think Numudan actually has a way of peeling this. Two's if it's just cruise mode for MLord. My instincts say that this is just kind of cut and dry, right? MLord is now choosing advancement wing, so he's just going to go for the fast tech up. The reason you do this, by the way, is that you can come back for Abbassids later if the game goes late enough, right? Remember, you can get the extra tech. So this is just all about the age-up timing. MarineLord now posturing for a fight. These fortified outposts are so frustrating. Remember, you're trying to play into a fortified outpost that is also fortified by House of Wisdom. It has 10 fire armor. Clash now coming in. Spearmen are going to brace against it. Springles are trading out. Manjanique goes in for a shot on the backside, though. Good micro back by Numudan. MarineLord losing a fair amount of troops, but the Sofa count is now a little bit too low on the front side of this, right? Only 10 remaining. And remember, the Mamluk's bravery does work for these spearmen, so just look at their movement speed, 1.5, able to quickly rush forward if they get a stab in on the Sofas. Last of them are about to fall, though. Problem is that Camelanese is still there. The Dervishes need to be sniped down ASAP, otherwise you just can't do damage. Second wave is on the way from Numudan, and it looks like we're in for a castle drop here. MLord is not going to give the space over. Unfortunately, this is a misread by Numudan. He thought he had the momentum to make a push, and he was dead wrong. Yeah, this might just be a wave of the white flag the moment Imp comes out. You needed a lot more than that. For a moment, it looked good, right? When MarineLord chases out, he overextends. Numudan gets a turnaround moment, but that's just wave number one. You have to remember, we're talking about the Ayyubids up with Golden Age 4, which means they've already taken the production speed booster, and now they also get the cheaper siege. Not to mention, we're about to be looking at an Imp Age advantage that equals either shot triggers or culverins. It's fair to say that Numudan's only hope here is mass Sofa against a Civ, probably the best Civ at dealing with Cav. He's going to at least try to wrap right. Problem is the walls are already going up. Stone walls this time. Love that from MarineLord. Just try and prevent that wide arc. I feel like you've got 1 minute to find a hit here. More than 1 minute and it's basically GG territory. Because the meat grind is ready to go, folks. We're talking about double the food income for MarineLord. You do not see that happen much to the Malians, but that's the case. That's the state we find ourselves in here. And it's no surprise when you consider that it's an over a 50 eco lead now. Numudan with culverins and bombards now here. You can't really take these stage fights anymore. You need some sort of wide arc play. Because of that fight they took as well, they're not ready to actually go Imperial Age. They can't afford to go Imp now before they get max pop. And the only reason they might get there is because MarineLord right now isn't playing out. But that's because he's waiting for all the boxes to be ticked, right? Like, he's getting into the military academy. He's getting the siege together. He's getting ready for that unlimited meat grinder. That meat grinder where, you know, you're always going to have a production advantage. In fact, you're going to have a 50% production advantage because Numudan didn't even get military academy. Wow. Okay. I mean, in fairness, I'm not sure if he would have had the food for it originally, but it's still now a very big problem when we get into these non-stop fights, right? Well, speaking of the fights, they're about to start here. Fort the Huntress is on the way. Numudan had to pull away to do that, though, which means the castle he dropped on the ford is going to go down. I think it's fair to say it didn't really get his value for it, right? Killed 2 free Desert Raiders, killed about 3 Spearmen. Not even close to what it needed to kill. Fort the Huntress trying to come up. If that gets spotted, if that gets hit by a bombard on the build-up, it's going to be problem town central. Luckily for him, it looks like the bombard's a bit too far away. In fact, he stopped off the deal with the mine camp. There's going to be a charge in here, but a reset as soon as the tech up completes. Numudan does immediately queue up the cannon. He needs to hold this area. The problem of holding this area, though, is what about your base? Oh, MarineLord. Are you really going to send the entire army in like this? He is. Elite Army Tactics has also been queued up. Shutter Triggers is on the way on the other side for Numudan. Yeah, he's got 5 springles, so good news here is he's going to be able to hold back the siege. The bad news is he now has to retreat all the way home just to clear up a motley little crew of spears. And he might even be too late to stop this. When the ranch is about to go down, Numudan actually hasn't vacated it yet. Finally going to come out, but that means they are going to be stabbed down, so a blocker here to booming up the food again. In fact, archers are not quick enough to stop this from being at least 2 ranches, maybe 3 if MarineLord's quick about it. Does stab multiple cattle down. I love the way they drift off. And it looks like he might be able to get more if he's quick about it. Yep, that's going to be more blockers. That is so infuriating if you're Numudan. So right now, you can basically drop 1 more ranch, but the rest is blocked out around the Fulani. You can probably clip the edge if you're lucky. But while this is happening, MarineLord hasn't been sitting on his ass, right? He's been building up the bank further. He's got elite army tactics now complete. Meanwhile, Numudan doesn't even have his elite statuses in. Bombard has gradually been knocking down this Huntress as well. Walls also going up. I believe those are stone walls, right? No, he's just going for palisades. Okay. I thought maybe stone walls would be a pretty crafty play here just to completely constrict the map. But I guess when you're up against bombards, Imperial on Imperial, that's where obviously it feels a little bit weird, a little bit weak. Nice snipe out the Culverin. Love to get the freebies here. No siege works in, right? So the springles are not exactly what you call tanky. Cove. Can't quite get the trade. The dive's going to come in, though. A little bit of poke and prod. Castle goes up, and MarineLord now with access to quite a lot of stone and that extra gold. Not to mention, remember, he does have those 5 relics, so not running out of coin anytime soon. Are we about to get a Golem spam? Oh, we might be. That's interesting, actually. Numudan, I mean, poison archers aren't too bad, but realistically, your counter is Musafadi. And if you're going to do Musafadi, if you're going to do that transition, you need to start prepping the tech now, and you also need to get military academy. It's non-negotiable at this stage. No precision training either is really surprising. There we go. He's at least going to tick that box, but I just realized, actually, he hasn't even got the melee techs, and he's playing this all-in-one blacksmiths. The time it's going to take to get the tech here, game could already be over. Spearman reaching in. Remember, that Mamluk's bravery is insane. Once it triggers, your chase down potential on these villages is ridiculous. And oh god, he's back again, dude. Oh, Numudan. His entire food eco is going to plummet due to a small rate of spears. Meanwhile, his dive cannot really do enough here. Sofas are going to wrap around the back of the crossbow archer line. Bombards are going to be chased away, but there's a second wave of spears ready to rock and roll behind this. And the difference is what's happening between these two. Like, what are they achieving with this? Numudan's winning a small skirmish, but MarineLord is massacring the eco. Oh my god! Elite army tactics plus Mamluk's bravery. Do not kid around with this. This thing is insane. He gets +4 damage on these spears. And remember, they're not just normal spears. They're phalanx spears. They're able to stab so much further due to it. Dude, Numudan's completely lost. He doesn't know what to do with this anymore, right? Spears finally going to be cleared up on the ranch area, but he's only got 3 of these ranches operational. The dive into the base is not going to hold anymore. Mangonels are basically going to be beat by basic spears. Hand cannoneers move in for the killing blow, and GG gets called. MarineLord makes it surgical to take game 1. Dude, what a cool way to end that as well. Just basically ensuring that Numudan had to lock himself in the center of the map and then sending something as trivial as a group of spearmen into the enemy base. Just shows you the power of elite army tactics, phalanx, and Mamluk's bravery. You know, I think actually, it's fair to say with that kind of detail, if you can get the meat grinder going, Ayyubid spears are going to be better. I'd love to see some late game Ayyubid versus Abbasid where it turns into giant spear masses, because I think that's where that Mamluk's bravery is going to show you just how powerful it can be, especially when you spread out the melee lines and hit everyone else at a different time. So let's get ready for game number 2 of this series. Are you playing with HDR? No. I just have, maybe it's, I don't know. I don't think, maybe it's NVIDIA Vibrance, digital vibrance. I don't know if that's coming through. Maybe. It shouldn't be, but unless they update something. Yeah, they look more saturated. Oh, okay. Yeah, like I guess actually now that I think about it, when I look at some people's streams, they're a little bit more dulled, darkened compared to that. But I think it makes it pop more, right? It's quite nice. Okay. we predicted it correctly. We are going to Mongolian Heights. It is going to be a Mongol-Japanese matchup. Now, this is a bit of a tough one, actually, because the Japanese, up against the Mongols, good God, they have a 28.4% win rate on the last patch. And then the Mongols on this patch, funnily enough, a 45.5. I'm wondering how many of those are Mongolian Heights, though, because this is the map that can be a little bit more of a coin flip. On land maps, you can see the problems emerging. But on a water map, there's still the power of the Shinobi. The question is whether it can power Numudan through to a game number 3, or if it's going to end in 2. We hop into the second game of this Elite Classic 2 group stage series. MarineLord taking the lead early on, and now looking to close it out with the Mongols on their home map. Now, this is an interesting one, actually, because I think although the Shinobi play the Japanese lean into is still strong, it's not as good as it once was. It's been heavily discounted with the nerfs to the Koka Township, where the first Shinobi now takes 23 seconds to arrive. You do still get him for free. It's just you have to wait for him to be produced. And that was a crippling nerf, even on water maps, but especially on land maps. It took away any semblance of this Civ having that flexibility on their land map choice. Now it just feels like Kura Storehouse goes in most games. You're not going to build Kura Storehouse in this game, even if you don't want to play Shinobi, just because up against Mongols, you find the farms tend to be a liability here. Setting them up before you're ready to defend them means your opponent will get payday when they come and burn them. Other side of this, we are going to be seeing the Rax drop coming out from MarineLord, though. And I wondered if he was going to try for this, because I'm not the biggest fan of the spear opening, simply because unless your opponent goes for dock, all you're setting yourself up for is pain when they spam out Shinobi. And Numudan has been very smart about this. Like, you shouldn't be rushing a dock in this matchup. I've watched a decent amount of Japanese on water, and I think dropping the dock just sets you up for pain. Rushing to the Koka Township gives you map control, and then, of course, you can just flood the map, get multiple docks up, and spam up those cheaper fishing boats to make up for it. So what do you think, guys? Previous patch where Japanese were stronger, they were getting absolutely dominated by Mongols. New patch where Japanese are weaker, Mongols are slightly losing. Would you bank on the more recent stats? 1's for Numudan, 2's for MarineLord. We're about to get the moment of truth for Numudan. I can't see a world in which it's anything but Koka. There we go. Yeah, Koka is always the correct call here. Positioning is nice as well. It's not behind his base. It's kind of the side, so he can push troops out towards the front quicker. Spinmen are already in the way, though. MarineLord, I'm hoping he's stopping at 2. He's not. He's going more, so he's going up to 4. It's not a quick tech up from his opponent. Maybe he can get an outpost up quick enough. This is kind of interesting, actually. If he gets an outpost up here, it doesn't seem like a high-value outpost until you realize that you can hit Shinobi as they spawn. You don't hit them for much. They should be able to back away. But there is a little window of opportunity. Instead, it looks like it's going to go for the wider arc. A cheeky little path here. I swear, sometimes the auto doing it for you is just outrageous. Well, that ain't too bad, is it? Nice little weave around the side. And yeah, it might be that my settings are on high. Like, I do always have my settings on high because I cast games, I don't play them. So that could be it as well. Spinman go stab at the back. So it looks like the goal is getting idled out. Numudan did already gather enough for 2 extra Shinobi past the freebie. And there's going to be 12 villagers now. So right now he's like, okay, yeah, no. If you want to play the game this way, that's fine. And I'm just going to rush this up and counter the play. Great read there, Numudan. Prioritizing the tech up when it mattered most. And now, Koka Township should get the Shinobi out in time here. There's only 2 spears in the area. I think if MarineLord tries to fight this, even being a micro-chad like he is, you just die to this, right? Like, it doesn't seem doable to me. Unless you do some weird and wonderful body blocks. Maybe if you tank with a Khan. Here we go. Scout plus the Shinobi moving in. And you want to basically target the Spinman first, remove the damage, and then turn onto the villager. In fact, if he Shunshins, he could have the freebie. Instead, it's going to be a push away. But remember, there's now more Shinobi on the way. So, MarineLord, he's at least forcing more of a commitment here. But if this ever breaks out, he's in trouble, right? Like, he's set up the dock on the other side. He's starting to trend towards that castle age, feudal age rather. I like that he didn't go for an extra spear, just stopped at 4. Because at this point, you can't beat the Shinobi. Speaking of which, Shinobi are going to move in for stabs. Needs to make sure he micros the injured ones away. Well played there, actually. Switches pressure over. First Shinobi is on the way. Clinching goes in for the villager. And he's just going to target him down. But no! What? Numudan! Oh my god. Clinching in. He'll look for it again, but it's too late. That's going to be 2 Shinobi now going down. And the villager, he might die for this, but worth. Wow. I can't believe that. Numudan, if he just Clinching twice on each side of the villager, that would have been perfect. And then you could have ran away in time instead. Losing 2 Shinobis not cheap, folks, right? You get 1 for free, sure, but the other costs 120. And now it means you've only got 1 Shinobi. Why is that a problem? It means that even if you rush out now to this dock, you don't have enough to stop the production permanently. And because of what happened on the forge here, you don't actually have gold income right now. In fact, if I'm not mistaken, he cancelled the forge despite the fact he was trying to contest the gold. That, I think, was maybe like the second big mistake of this opening moment here. Not just what happened with the micro, but the choice to just remove the forge when it was unnecessary. Wait, am I blind? Was this the spearmen weren't burning it down, right? Like, I'm remembering this correctly. I'm scratching my brain trying to think of an excuse for it. He did just delete it, right? That's kind of wild. Oh, tech up complete. Numudan did drop a dock on the south side. That did, however, get scouted. And it looks like the spearmen are going to get another villager for their troubles. All right, I said another. Another's going to die in this game. So 1-1 trade. And, of course, the archer ship won't be able to stop that. In fact, the archer ship just got revealed. So upriver, we should be seeing a spree being prioritized by MarineLord. MLord didn't go for the trade, by the way, and I'm a very big fan of that. I think trade can sometimes kind of hoist you in your own petard. This is all about early game. Deerstone gives you that power. It gives you the surge to get more out on the waterfront. MLord. Saboed on that dock right now. It's still only 1 Shinobi, however, a second one's on the way. Dude, I think Numudan's too late. Yeah, that's too... Maybe with Clinching you can get here in time to stop a war junk coming out, but it's going to be tight. See you in a sec. 30 seconds to go. Starts now. Fishing boats are at least going to be idled out behind this. Numudan is now fishing, but there are spearmen contesting that area, so he's going to have to add in another defensive boat. The Shinobi. Wait, Numudan? I guess he didn't think he could get there in time? Alright, we have a problem. He's not going to be able to block production on water. Spearman, funnily enough, are just chasing after now, and the Shinobi's a little bit too late there. Oh my god, I can't believe how close that was. That was, what, 2 seconds difference? Get me out. Get him out. Second dock also now up, so you just don't have the Shinobi capacity to block this anymore. And it means MarineLord, he's basically got like a 2/3 of the river control, right? Like, he isn't fully locked down here. He hasn't dropped the dock in this area, but it's very hard for Numudan to move more than a third up, right? Without being contested now. So you got Demo Ship on the way up. And MarineLord is now repairing the dock. So if you time this right, you could get the kill on the villager. Unfortunately, it just feels like Numudan, I don't know if he's just getting distracted, but a lot of times you just got these ships sitting there not moving. Like, we saw the same with the Shinobi in the base. And we now got Horsemen coming out. So Numudan... Wait, he thought he was going to be up against archers. All right, Houston, we got a problem. Archer ship's going to come out to deal with the demo. MarineLord should be able to get this for free, actually. Shots out. Nicely done, dude. That was a great spread. Demos do not connect, so Warjunk can now come in to assist. Archer ship is going to have to retreat. Will be quick enough, and these fishing boats, injured, can actually just move all the way upriver. Right? He's got the second dock upriver that's pretty safe there. And, oh, dude, Numudan's going to discover it the hard way. So, yeah, repair's going to come in here. Meanwhile, Demo Ship is on the way up to clean that up. Spirrel is dealt with the Archer Ship as well. This 2 versus 1 dock is kind of uncontestable for Numudan right now, unless he gets some sort of land force together. He's at least going to just float his boat upriver as far away to just waste the time, but the Demo will connect in the end. And on land, we are also talking about a situation where if your fishing isn't really getting online, you're going to run out of food, right? Meanwhile, for MarineLord, he's already got, what was that, 4 fishing boats? Might be 5 soon. That's enough to kind of float what you need on land. In fact, that's enough to give you surplus to work with. Spring ship. Okay, I just... Oh, MarineLord, he is going to end up losing the Skrill ship, but credit to him, actually. He done enough damage in return. The junk could get killed. Unfortunately, the micro wasn't quite there with the archer ship afterwards. And now the Horseman Revelation. Yeah, I feel bad for Numudan about now. Like, the stable drop, you just kind of look at it, and now you scratch your head, right? Like, it turned into a water fight. The archers never came out. Like, you essentially have a production building that was wasted. This could have been half your way towards another Spiral ship, right? That's the edge you need here. It's not going to be there. Love the Deer Stone positioning as well. Just in case those Horseman Raids now connect. That's a cool optimization by MarineLord. Instead of having to now pull Spearman to defend his eco, what does he do? He shifts the Deer Stone, so if a Horseman Raid comes in, he just runs away with the villagers while he keeps attacking the Spearman. So in which Spearman get a freebie. Oh, that... This is kind of becoming problematic. Numudan, he never set up an outpost back here. So gold's going to get idled out. And Numudan, he needs the gold to fight on water, right? He needs a little bit for the Springolds. He needs a lot for the demos. And the Shinobi sure as hell aren't cheap either. So Forge, that's going to be a payday. 50 resources on the backside for MLord. Water is also just now looking very chill for him, right? He's got 7 fishing boats in total. And Numudan is now doubling down to recover. Double dock as well as the villagers fishing on the shoreline. This doesn't feel great as this Civ, folks. This feels really sucky as this Civ. You don't have any standard eco tech. You haven't got the horticulture, right? So you can't get this beneficial increased rate. And on top of that, the whole point with Japanese is that the fishing boats are cheaper, right? So anytime you're using villagers, it just feels like you're being a little bit less efficient as a Civ. Spears can burn these farmhouses, by the way. This is exactly what he's trying to force. Shinobi count needs to go up further. It's just kind of quite the awkward conundrum here, right? Like, it's if you trade one Shinobi for one spear, it's a bad trade right now because of the cost difference. Especially with how gold-starved you feel. Love the burn coming through each time there. Numudan is now going to begin the mosh pit. Shinobi? Wait, what? They don't have Shunshin? Oh, no. Well, he'll at least make it a 2 for 4, but considering the farmhouse issue, on top of that, I don't feel great about that trade for Numudan. Especially in a game where MarineLord is now going to look to go Castle Age. Shh. Tell me you're desperate without saying you're desperate. Good God. Breed out now on the way. Interesting there's not Curl Tie, but then again he doesn't have trade, right? So this just guarantees he has the length. What does Numudan now do to contest this? I mean, he's going Yumi. And if I'm not mistaken, this is just Men-at-Arms spam, right? Like Men-at-Arms crossbows and GG. Because I don't see how Numudan gets up without dying, right? Like, he's at least gonna... Okay, thank God, he has the outpost this time. The outpost not being there after the initial outpost rush attempt by MarineLord felt like a cardinal sin, and one that I think Numudan has paid for. You know, it's crazy. It's not often you can define an entire game by just one area on the screen, but I think this would be it. Like, everything that has mattered, that made the difference here, I think happened here. We can talk about the cool little plays on water, the micro here or there, but the reality is the waste of Shinobis, the bait around the gold, the denial of the forge, the rebuild of the forge, then the burn down the forge, the no outpost, like all the details existed right here. MarineLord. Now with this age up, are we going to be seeing the Men-at-Arms that I Fury crafted? I think we are, yeah. Double Rax is being pumped. This is also a Rax, believe it or not. It's just slightly buried. And it is going to be full MAA spam. Floating Gate is on the way on the other side for Numudan. And the food is booming on the water. At least it should be now for Numudan. But MarineLord, I mean, at any stage, surely you could just dive down river, right? With Men-at-Arms now, you can torch this devil down. He's also found the gold workers. Archer's moving in. Demo ship is waiting to hold your hand there. The problem right now is you might be able to scare away a few spears, but these Men-at-Arms are not going to be scared. Are you kidding me? Wow, this game is getting desperately uncomfortable for Numudan. He doesn't feel content with just the gold in the back of his base. I don't blame him. He's got less than 2k there, right? So now he's playing risky into MarineLord's fat gold vein, hoping that he doesn't get spotted. Meanwhile, MLord, just a discount army moving in. Onobagisha are now on the way. Numudan, he did go for the Euroshiro drop in the racks, right? Yes. Long walk for it, but he has got it online. I'll just always trade out the Yumi. And this is wave 1, remember, folks. Like, the big wave, the one that matters, is now stacking up. Steel Tower is being prioritized. I wouldn't be surprised if we're looking at, like, Siege Engineering improved. It's not great if you think you're up against Onobagisha Mass, though, right? Like, typically, I'd only say it works against Onobagisha Mass at this stage if you have Kurultai as well. So, nice little hold there from Numudan, but to be expected, right? This was throwing away the trash before you put Numudan in the trash can with it. With men-at-arms plus crossbows, the crossbows aren't great against the Onobagisha. I'm kind of surprised that MarineLord isn't going for more archers, but I think it's because he's paranoid, right? The issue is whenever you're up against the Japanese racks Euroshiro opening, it's not just Onobagisha, it's Samurai. And I think that's what makes it a very hard to deal with Civ, is that they have that flexibility at this stage to go between either. So if you don't build crossbows, sure, they're going to suck against Onobagisha, but if you don't build them, you have nothing to deal with Samurai. Timing's everything, though, and I gotta say, like, this timing is looking rough right now for Numudan. The delays around the gold gathering, like what he's had to build into, he doesn't have Daimyo level 1, he doesn't have Katana Bannerman, he only just got Tatara. So it looks like he has actually gone across and gone the Daimyo finally. Did he move on the stone? He did, there we go. So he's at least trying to fix that now to repair that issue. But it might cost him in the meantime. MarineLord starting to circle the base. Plenty more troops where this came from, and although the water is a stalemate, realistically at this stage, MLord could quite easily sweep it. With this many men-at-arms, the torch power, you can just run down river, blowing these up. And remember, because of the way that like the docks integrate themselves into the side of the shores, if you just stand here, the demos can't actually touch you. Relics now being picked up in MarineLord as well, though. So it's kind of interesting, right? Because I think some of the players we watch, like at this moment, there would be this more unrelenting all-in. But you have to remember that MarineLord, he's on record saying that he's not really that type of person. If he gets a slight lead and he feels like it's a big enough one to milk into a gradual win, he'll take that approach over risking it all. Right? He's a very calculated player compared to, I say some people like, for example, Vortex comes to mind, where they're very much in. They're very aggressive. When they see an opening, they throw everything at it. MLord sees the later game picture. He sees it looking good for him, and now we are seeing the move in for those docks. We'll move inward here. Springald, love the weight on the Springald here. He just has an easy way of winning this fight, and then the Springald ship goes down the other side. Demo, a great pincher. Return fire does come out, and what? Oh my goodness, MarineLord, do not make that mistake again, my friend. All this talk of calculation, and apparently he didn't bring his calculator to math class this time. Second demo comes out. This one will not be as high of a value, but the first one striking like that is baffling. Big mistake made there by MarineLord, but he still has enough to clear up the water, and that's really what matters here. Archer ship's now in. Fishing boats are dying. And Numudan, oh my god, he's about to run out of food. Farmhouse is being torched on the way down. One dock remaining. Spearmen have also found the gold gathering here. This is problematic. Second TC on land from MarineLord. And Onobagisha are at least going to cut some of the reinforcements, but you can't really afford to even lose those Onobagisha right now. Numudan is about to be stuck on land with no fish. I mean, he can't even contest it anymore, right? Like, a demo wouldn't do here anymore. You need multiple Springalds. So all docks down. Gold has also been discovered. Numudan, he's at least finding some return picks here on land, but it's just not enough. He's going for a second TC now. Still, 2 TC plus fishing versus 2 TC no farms, right? Like, this is the big detail. He has the Daimyo level 1. He has a few berries left over, but he's yet to make that farm transition. And arms now moving in. Looks like the villagers will shift out to the corner. But they can easily be cut off now, right? There's no way you can easily get out of here because the cliff makes you kind of predictable. And also, in the meantime, you've just paid MarineLord 100 resources to take this down, right? So definitely worth coming on by. Numudan now. This, to me, is kind of the signs of a man in a desperation situation, right? Like, he needs trades that are beneficial. He can't afford to lose 1-to-1, so what does he do? He switches to Onimusha. The problem with Onimusha is, like, crossbows at this quantity aren't bad at dealing with that. You're going to need a lot of Onimusha, and that might just encourage Mangonel play from a player that already has got a Siege Workshop, right? Oh, sorry, no, he went for the Siege... Okay, it's even worse, guys. He went for the improved. Which means the moment he sees those Onimusha, he's going to queue up the Mangonel. And at that stage, Numudan, with this amount of food income, doesn't really have a great answer to that. Even if he tries to go back into Onabagisha, the problem right now is you're up against so many men-at-arms that it's kind of like when you watch Chinese players with their Nest of Bees, where they just stand on top of it, right? They surround it so you can't hit it. Same thing here. Mangonels are coming out from Numudan, though. Wait, before Springolds? This is a little bit surprising to me, because Numudan knew there were Springolds, right? He saw them on the south side. He saw them when they were attacking on the river. And he doesn't have enough Onabagisha to stab them, right? So right now, his counterplay of Mangoes seems smart, but it's being held hostage by a single anti-siege. MarineLord continues to just torch stuff down. Another 100 resources in the bank. I love this, dude. He's like, well, I've been killing so much. Let's just get raid bounty, right? Like, if you think about the amount of buildings he's burnt down, you could argue he should have got it sooner, but I think this is him just now accepting that his opponent has to play loose and risky. And also, because it's now a land eco for Numudan, he's going to have to eventually add in farms. That's a lot of burn potential. Speaking of things to burn, it's TC. Numudan, I don't think he's ready to fight this. Nope, he has to let it go. It's full Elsa mode right now, so Town Center is definitely going to go down. Army is on the way, but realistically, your Mangoes are going to take too long to stop this. Villagers trying to go for the repair. They're going to be chased on too. Attack speed arrow is going to come out, and that means you're going to turn around the crossbows to attack everything coming your way. Men-at-arms need to return to this quickly. Mango shots are going to be a complete whiff here. Just a few men-at-arms keeping the Onimusha busy, and the Springolds now move in for the siege. That's going to be an army wipe. That's going to be a GG. MarineLord with a dominant 2-0 over the Swede. I've got to say, folks, what a fantastic execution as well as draft from MarineLord. You know, this series, you can look at the top of it. When you think about the maps, like if you look at the draft without knowing maps, you'd say Numudan got a piece of it. But when you consider the maps, knowing it was going to be opening on Coastal Cliffs, knowing it was going to be Mongolian Heights likely to follow up, to me, MarineLord just show his drafting skills here. That's the area that he truly outplayed Numudan. And then, of course, he did it in the game as well. But at that stage, you know, it's kind of a conundrum, right? Numudan won these players coming through the qualifiers. There's a big expectation on them to prove their ability in drafting. And I've got to say, based on what I've seen on the first weekend, a lot of these players, like MarineLord, Beastie, you know, Wham, they seem to have a better idea on what to do with the draft right now. It's something I'm hoping that players like Numudan will learn from and be able to perform a bit better, deeper in the group stage. Stay tuned for that.